No one ever expects disaster to arrive quietly, but that morning it did, slipping into James's life like a silent thief. He woke to the shrill echo of police sirens slicing through the dawn outside his apartment window. Papers littered the floor, documents he had never seen, forged contracts bearing his signature, and accusations he had never imagined himself capable of. His hands trembled as he reached for his phone, but the moment he called for help, a cold, brutal truth pierced him. Someone had orchestrated this, perfectly, precisely, and only one man was capable of such ruthless precision, his own father. Father James had always been strict, always molding James into the heir he desired. But this was different. This wasn't pressure, this wasn't ambition, this was annihilation. Footsteps thundered up the stairwell. Heart-hammering, James fled through the back door, sprinting down narrow alleys swallowed by early morning fog. He had no plan, no direction, only fear and the flickering image of one woman. Diep, the woman he loved, the woman he had promised to marry, the woman he could no longer protect. He wanted to call her, desperately. To hear her voice once, to anchor his spiraling world. But if the police traced the call, she would be dragged into the same abyss that had consumed him. And James would rather be erased from the world than let darkness touch her. At a deserted bus station, with trembling fingers, he typed. Diep, something happened. Don't believe anything you hear. I will come back for you. Please wait for me. He hit send and climbed aboard a bus to nowhere, far enough to disappear, far enough to survive. As the vehicle jerked forward, the city blurred behind him, fading like a life he no longer owned. Every bump in the road rattled loose another piece of everything he'd lost: trust, safety, identity. But the heaviest weight was the memory of Diep's smile, soft, trusting, and the fear that he had just shattered the very heart that loved him most. James was now a fugitive in his own homeland, framed not by an enemy, but by the man who had raised him. Yet as darkness swallowed the horizon, one truth remained: he would return to Diep. He had to, because she was all he had left. When Diep received his message, her hands froze around her phone. The world tilted. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. She didn't yet understand the meaning behind his desperate words, not until the news erupted: accusations, false evidence, allegations of corporate fraud. Overnight, James had gone from respected businessman to wanted criminal, people whispered. Reporters gathered, neighbors stared, but Diep sat at her small kitchen table, her phone still in hand, reading his message over and over. Please wait for me. Those words cut like a blade, full of fear, apology, and unspoken love. And then came the next storm. That afternoon, Father James appeared at her doorway without warning. His presence drained the room of warmth. Dust still clung to his shoes as he stepped inside, face carved into cold authority. So, he said, voice sharp, you've seen the news. Diep swallowed hard. James didn't do those things. Someone framed him. His lips curled, not into a smile, but a threat. Someone? You truly believe this happened by accident? My son is many things, but not foolish enough to orchestrate such chaos. And you? His eyes sliced into her. You are a distraction he should never have had. Diep's fists clenched. I love him. That's not a crime. To me, it is, he said, stepping closer. You make him weak, disobedient, and now he's paying the price. Anger burned hot behind her grief. What have you done to him? He leaned in, lowering his voice into a chilled whisper. James is gone. And if he has any sense, he will stay gone. A man with charges like his has no future, and neither do the foolish girls who cling to him. Her breath trembled, but her backbone held. He didn't run. He escaped, and that, he murmured darkly, is why I came. To ensure you do not become another liability. For the first time since meeting him, Diep felt the true weight of his power, cold, calculating, merciless. But she refused to bow. With or without your approval, she said, voice steady despite her shaking hands, I will wait for him. I will believe him, and I will not fear you. Father James stared at her for a long, icy moment. Then he smiled, slow, poisonous. We will see, he whispered. We will see how long your faith survives. When he left, the room seemed to collapse into silence. Diep stood alone, against corruption, against fear, against a world determined to crush her. Meanwhile, miles away, James hid in a damp, suffocating motel room. The air stank of cigarette smoke and mold, but he hardly noticed. Safety was no longer a luxury he could afford. He stared at the burner phone. No contacts. No call history. Not even Diep's number. His father had erased every path back to the life he once knew. Betrayal pressed heavy against his ribs. He had always believed his father's strictness masked love. That the legacy he pushed so hard was meant to secure a future, not destroy it. But the moment James overheard his father whisper to a government official, "He's too soft. That girl will ruin him. If he won't step away willingly, we force him to." Everything became clear. He wasn't a son, he wasn't an heir, he was a pawn, and Diep wasn't collateral damage. She was a target. Jaw clenched, James spread the documents he had stolen. Secret bank transfers, altered contracts, audio recordings, manipulated paperwork. Alone, each piece meant little. Together, they were enough to topple everything his father built. He just needed time, and time was the one thing his father would never allow him. A soft knock snapped him out of his thoughts. He grabbed the lamp like a weapon. The door creaked open. A whisper slipped through. James, it's me. His heart tripped. Deep? Here? Impossible. Dangerous. Deadly. He stepped toward the door. James, the whisper came again, fragile and pleading. Please, open the door. His breath broke. If it truly was Deep, she was walking into a trap. If it wasn't, then the trap was for him. He rested his forehead against the wooden door, torn between fear and longing. Deep? He whispered. Silence. Then, James, I need you. His heart cracked open, and his hand moved toward the door. Deep awoke before sunrise, the countryside wrapped in soft blue stillness. Every morning for a month she opened her eyes with a quiet hope, the impossible hope that James might suddenly be there again, leaning against the doorframe with a tired smile. But every morning greeted her with silence. Still, today felt strange. Electric. She stepped outside to feed the chickens. A cool breeze brushed past her, gentle, familiar, so familiar it made her freeze. For a moment she swore she could feel him in that wind. Before hope could take shape, hurried footsteps approached. Tuan, James's most loyal employee, burst through the gate, covered in dust. I have news, he gasped. Deep's voice cracked. Is he alive? Tuan nodded, and her knees nearly gave out. He's alive, and he's coming back. The investigation turned. They found the real accounts, the forged signatures, the land documents, everything his father did. They're clearing James's name. Deep pressed a trembling hand to her mouth. Relief and fear tangled inside her. Where is he now? On his way here, Tuan said softly. The first place he wants to return to is you. Sunlight spilled across the fields as Deep walked toward the old dirt road leading into the village. Her steps quickened, her heart raced so loudly it echoed in her ears, and then she saw him. James, thin, bruised, clothes worn from months of running, but his eyes, those gentle, determined eyes, were locked onto her. Deep, he whispered. She ran. He caught her mid-stride, arms wrapping tight around her as if anchoring both their shattered worlds back together. I'm here, he murmured into her hair. I'm not leaving again. Tears streamed down her face. I waited, she whispered. No matter how far you went, I waited. James cupped her face, his own eyes wet. And every second, I fought to come back to you. For the first time in months, hope, bright, fierce, unbreakable, rose between them. James was home. Their story is more than a tale of love and danger. It is a testament to the quiet resilience of the human heart. We often believe strength comes from standing alone. But true strength, as James and Diep discovered, comes from the courage to love even when the world is falling apart. When James fled, framed, hunted, betrayed, Diep could have chosen safety. She could have protected her heart, walked away, let the world dictate her choices. But she didn't. Her loyalty teaches us that love is not defined by ease but by endurance. James's journey teaches us that redemption is always possible, even when we feel broken or unworthy. The moment he chose to stop running, not from danger, but from himself, was the moment he reclaimed his life. And together, they show us that hope is not naive, hope is defiance, hope is strength. Hope is the light we carry through the darkest nights. Life will wound us. People will betray us. Circumstances will tear us from the ones we love, but if we can forgive, if we can believe, if we can hope, then even the longest journey will lead us home.